Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. John Wise here with JPW Productions, coming to you today with a new review. This is going to be an automobile review out there, not DJ review, no equipment, no gig logs. Basically, we're checking out the new Tesla Model X. Not new, it's a couple years old, but I traded in my Jeep. I had a 2016 Jeep Sahara Wrangler, and I traded that in, and I got a Model X Tesla. And I've owned it for about 5 months now, so this is going to be my pros and cons of switching over from a Jeep to a Tesla, going full electric. I'm going to give you the pros and cons coming up right after this.
This is another JPW production.
All right, guys, I always like to start out with the pros. So starting out with the pros, I got them all jotted down because there are a lot of them. So starting off with the pros of owning a Tesla over owning a Jeep. Now, I know it's a weird comparison, but hey, that's where I come from. I always give you real world stats and input and feedback because I only comment on stuff I've actually used, driven, used at weddings or whatever. So this is my feedback here. So starting off with the pros of owning a Tesla over a Jeep. Number one, hands down, pretty much everybody knows this. No more gas. Don't have to buy gas anymore. Me personally, I was spending anywhere from $150 to $250 a month on gas, in that range, depending on how busy I was with weddings and how much driving I was doing. But on average, between $150 to $250 per month. Again, on the price too, right now in Chicagoland, it's been around $3.50 to $4 over the last 5 months. So right around that price range. Obviously, if it goes up more, I pay more. If it goes down, pay less. But that's my average, about $150 to $200 a month. Now, versus the Tesla, I've owned for 5 months. Now, keep in mind with the Tesla, I have a home charger, so I charge it every night. I have it set up to charge on off-peak hours, so basically it doesn't start charging till 1 in the morning. It takes about 4 to 5 hours to completely charge it, so by the time I wake up in the morning, it's fully charged. For 5 months now, my electric bill's gone up on average, and keep in mind I charge it every single night. It goes on the charger. Tesla actually recommends that even if it doesn't need to be filled up, they just recommend keeping it on the charger when you're at home. But for 5 months, my electric bill, charging off-peak hours every single day pretty much, has gone up anywhere from $35 to $40 a month. So right there, huge savings in electricity versus gas. So that's a huge pro for the Tesla. Another one is no more oil changes. Oil changes for my Jeep are on average about $85 every time I went. Usually go about 4 times a year. That's about every 3 months. So that's about, what is that? About $300 and some dollars, just under $400 a year I was spending on oil changes. So no more oil changes. So that's a big plus. And the ride is very, very smooth. I've owned lots of different sports cars. I own a Cadillac Escalade, all different types of cars. This has to be one of the most solid feeling. It's a heavy car. I don't know the exact weight on the Tesla Model X, but it's a heavy car and it just hugs the road. So it's a very, you feel very in control with the steering and everything. It's just really, really good ride, smooth ride. Also the customizations on this thing. I mean, I'm a tech guy. You could do so much customization from the steering. You could have more sporty steering versus a more, I guess, easygoing steering. So it's also got acceleration. It can be very fast, or it could just be a little bit slower if you want to chill and not hit the gas and throw your head back. Creep mode. So electric engines don't really move when you take your foot off the, it's not the gas pedal, it's the acceleration pedal. So basically there's a creep mode. So when you take your foot off the accelerator, it'll literally creep up. So it gives you the feel of driving a regular gasoline powered engine. I leave it on creep mode all the time. I just like that feel. I don't want to take my foot off the accelerator and not have it move. So it's nice to have that creep mode. Even though I don't really care for that term. Regenerative braking, that's another thing. Going back to some of the features, regenerative braking is really, really a lifesaver when it comes to saving the brakes and the rotors and everything. So basically what that does is when you take your foot off the accelerator, the engine itself slows the car down. So it takes a while to get used to. When I first started driving it, actually when I went on a test drive, I was jerking the car around. It's a very strange thing to get used to, but once you're used to it, you'll never want to not have it. And I literally drive my wife's car. She has a regular Nissan, regular SUV, and not having that regenerative in her car feels so bizarre to me now. It feels so like weird not to have that. So it takes a while to get used to, but once you get used to it, you'll love it. Raise and lower suspension, kind of a cool thing. That Tesla has built in, you can raise it up, lower it down the suspension of the car. So that's pretty neat. So in the wintertime, if there's a lot of snow, I could raise it up. You want to lower it down. For me personally, being a DJ, hooking up the trailer to it, I have a tow package on the Tesla, I forgot to mention, came with it. But when you hook up the trailer to the Tesla, you don't have to worry about buying different tongue sizes for the trailer hitch. You can literally raise the car, lower the car to match the height of the trailer. So if you have multiple trailers, or you're using somebody else's trailer, or you rent a trailer, you can literally raise and lower the car to whatever height you need to pull that trailer. Versus other vehicles that I've owned in the past, if I buy a new vehicle, or rent a vehicle, I'd have to get a different size tongue so it's level, it's not on an angle when you're pulling the trailer. So if that makes sense, it's really cool, really convenient. And on that note too, the cameras are amazing. So there's a backup camera that you could have on the entire time while you're driving. So I leave it on when I'm pulling my trailer. I just monitor my trailer while I'm pulling it. It's great peace of mind. You could take a look at it while you're driving, not have to worry about it. For backing up or hooking it up, it's a great option to have that backup camera. Let's see what else we got. We'll be right back. We'll come back with some more. I gotta look up some more. All right, we're back. Some more pros of owning the Tesla. It's always updating and improving. So since I've owned it 5 months, I think I've had about 4 or 5 updates. So the software is always updating. You could update it when you want. I typically update it overnight when it's charging. Always improving it. Little things are added on. There's so much stuff to list, but it's nice that you're buying a car that can still be updated, and the software can be updated and stuff like that. So that's a huge plus. It just does it automatically. There's no fees for that. Another one is that, other than the other tech stuff, is the security as a Sentry mode, where if you buy a high capacity USB drive, I think I bought like a 32 gig or 50 gig or something like that, USB drive, you stick it in one of the USB outlets, and literally when you park it, you could have Sentry mode on, where it uses all of its cameras, which has cameras everywhere on the mirrors, in the front, in the back, and it'll monitor if somebody bumps it or somebody gets too close to it. It'll record clips to your files, so you'll have video clips of it. So maybe you'll catch a license plate if somebody hits you in the front or hits you in the back while you're parked. You're gonna have a license plate, obviously, because it's gonna start recording as soon as that impact happens. So even if you're not in the car, you could probably go to the police, you have a copy of the plate, say, hey, this guy hit me, here's the video proof. So that's a great feature, that Sentry mode, or if somebody's trying to break into it too. Oh, the horn. On the Sentry mode, you can literally set it up to where if you're driving, if you hit the horn, say somebody cuts you off or there's an accident or whatever, you hit the horn, it automatically starts recording in Sentry mode. So that's pretty cool, that it'll be activated by the horn. And then the doors. I mean, the doors are cool. I mean, it's not really something you have to have, but the Falcon Wing doors, to me, I just love them. I think they're really, really cool. And one cool thing about them, when it's raining, when you open it up, it kind of protects you from the rain. So it's kind of nice. I have 2 young daughters, so when I'm putting them in and out of the car, it's nice to have that overhead. You don't have to hold an umbrella. You just open the Falcon Wing door, and it's kind of sheltered while you're putting them in their car seat and stuff like that. All right, so that's it for the pros. There's a lot more. These are just ones off the top of my head that I've noticed over the last 5 months. But those are the pros. We're going to come right back at you after this with the cons, what I don't like about my Tesla. Hold on a second. I got one more for the pros, and this is a huge one. I don't know how I missed that. Got all my notes there on the phone, and I just skipped right over it at the end. But this is probably, I mean, especially if you have kids or a family or anything like that, this is a huge one. The Tesla Model X is the first SUV with a 5-star crash rating in every category and subcategory, making it the first SUV ever to have a 5-star rating across the board in all the categories for crash tests and all that stuff. So to me, that's a huge deal. They build it from the ground up. It's a very sturdy frame. Elon Musk really put a lot of thought into this. You could go on YouTube and see crash demos of the Model X and stuff. It's pretty amazing. Another thing is you can't flip it. They said the way it's built and the weight of the battery, the low center of gravity, it's almost impossible to flip the car over. So between that and the 5-star crash rating across the board, that's a huge pro for the Tesla Model X, especially if you have family or you care about your own life, which I hope everybody does out there. But yeah, it's huge, huge, huge First SUV ever. That includes gas powered everything. First SUV ever to have a 5-star crash rating across the board in all the subcategories and everything. So that's huge. Back right after this with the cons. It's cons time. All right, so cons for owning a Tesla. Going to the number one, which everybody on social media talks about, friends talk about it to me, family asks me about it. Battery mileage. How many miles do you get from your battery on a single charge? My answer to that is, and this is kind of a pro and con. It depends on what your lifestyle is, what your situation is for where you live and everything. Number one, if you don't have a home charger, a 220 volt, not a 110 volt, you need a 220 volt charger in your garage to set it up every night and charge it. If you're living in a townhouse, renting, where you can't put one of those in and you don't have a charger at home, by all means, owning a Tesla will be a pain in the ass. I don't know if I could say that on YouTube, but I did. Ass. Pain in the ass. Because I, for one, do not want to go sit at a supercharger every single day or every other day charging or go late at night. Just to give you a little insight, when I initially bought it, I didn't have a 220 charger. I didn't have an outlet in my garage, so I had to have an electrician come over and hook one up for me. So in the meantime, for a couple weeks, I was having to run to superchargers. There's two close to my house, probably about 10 minutes away. So not a big drive, but when you get there, I was going late at night after the family went to bed. I'm like, I'll go charge it at night. I'm usually up late anyways during the week. So I would go over there and you literally sit in the car. Depending on how much you need to fill it up, I would always do it to like 85, 88% around there. And it takes you a good anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. So unless you like sitting in your car all the time, I mean, obviously you can return emails and do stuff, but I don't want to spend my life sitting at a supercharger 45 minutes every day. That's not really cool for me. So if you can't have a 220 charger at home, I don't care what type of electric car you're going to buy, Tesla, whatever, Jeep electric car, whatever. Don't get one unless you can get a 220 charger at home, because it would be a pain in the butt in my opinion. So yeah, so the biggest con right there is not having a charger at home and the battery mileage. So typically with my Tesla, after a full charge, I get roughly 270 to 280 miles per charge, full charge. Now keep in mind, that all depends on how aggressive you drive, city driving versus highway driving, how cold it is, which you really don't have to worry about that with a gasoline car, I don't think. No, pretty much not. But yeah, if it's cold, the battery life doesn't last as long as far as the mileage you get out of it. But yeah, that's a huge one. But for me, I fully charge it every night. So I got 270 to 280 miles every single day when I wake up in the morning. I'm not going anywhere farther than that. So that's more than enough for me. So for my situation, mileage isn't really an issue. I did have one day where I was running like crazy everywhere. I went up to the city. I had to go pick up my daughter and Lyle. I was running back home, then all over the place. I got down to like 17% on it, so I had to go to a supercharger, do a quick charge because I was running all day. I didn't have time to sit at home and charge it. So a situation like that, once in a while, doesn't bother me at all. Normal weekly activities, I wake up in the morning, I got more than enough miles to make it through the day and back home that night. So again, your situation. So again, if you live in a townhouse or you commute to Chicago or farther, maybe an hour drive to work, maybe that will come into an issue. But for me, my office is 5 minutes from my house. My daughter's school is about 30 minutes, which isn't too bad. My other daughter's school is like 5 minutes from the house. So not a big deal. And then all the venues we frequent as far as DJing and stuff are all within an hour, so never an issue. One note on the battery life though, when you are pulling a trailer, just like a gasoline powered car, you do use more energy when you're pulling a trailer. But I did on a full charge make it all the way to Indiana, County Line Orchard, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from here in Plainfield. So I made it there and back on one full charge and still have plenty of charge left after that. So stuff like that, I'm not driving any far like that for a wedding. I mean, unless they're paying huge travel fee, but that's my typical right there. So yeah, so that's the number one con, would be everything related to the battery. But again, for my situation, not an issue whatsoever. Depending on your situation, if you do commute pretty far or you don't have a home charger, then I wouldn't recommend getting an electric car at all. All right, more cons. The Falcon Wing doors, getting back to those. I love them. They're cool. But one of the things I ran into the last 5 months of using them is when you're in a parking garage or you're in your own garage, if there's any type of overhead obstruction, they won't open all the way. So if you have in a parking garage and there's a concrete support beam or whatever going over where you parked, literally the door is going to open like this and you're going to have to literally crawl or get down really low to get in there and get your kids in the car. So I ran into that twice. We parked downtown Naperville in one of the parking garages and I didn't even notice when I parked, but there was an overhead beam. So be on the lookout for stuff like that when you park it in a parking deck. Make sure there's no obstructions right above your head because you're not going to be able to raise those doors up all the way. That's one thing I did not like about it, where a standard door, you could open it pretty much no matter what. One thing I do want to point out, though, is if somebody does park pretty close to you, you could still open the Falcon Wing doors, just like in the YouTube videos. They're all over the YouTube with showing that how they open up with doors with cars parked right next to you. You could actually get them open a lot easier than a traditional style door if somebody like parks too close to you. So that's a huge one, but they'll put that in the pro category. But as far as the con, any overhead obstructions in a parking deck or in your own garage, it's not going to open all the way, and it's a pain in the butt to get into the back seat or put your kids in a car seat or whatever. All right, so that's that. One other thing on the Falcon Wing doors, in addition to them not opening if there's anything obstructing the overhead, the windows on the Falcon Wing doors, when they're closed, don't roll down all the way. I was told from some research I did, or one of the Reddit sites for Tesla owners, that the reason that is because the way the doors are constructed, they can't roll down all the way. So it only rolls down, it leaves about this much sticking up. So it doesn't roll down all the way. My daughter's like, roll the window all the way down. I'm like, that's as far as it goes. So that's one kind of negative I don't like about it. All right. Very techie for old people or anybody in general. I don't want to point out one class of age group or anything like that. But if you're not into tech, don't buy a Tesla. It's simple, plain as I can be. If you're not a tech person, the way things are right now, it's a completely different animal than a gas-powered car. So if you're not into technology, do not buy a Tesla. And then one other thing I just learned about a couple weeks ago is they do have, in addition to the main battery, all Teslas have a 12-volt battery, similar to what a car has as far as that battery size goes. And I was told, the research I did again, that if that dies, they usually last 3 to 5 years. If that dies, you won't be able to access the battery to jump it because it pretty much runs everything in the car. So if that dies, you're pretty much screwed. So I replaced mine right away. It was about 2 years old. So I'm like, I don't even want to mess with it. I think it was like $250 to have it replaced, or $200. So I replaced it, not going to worry about it. I marked it down another 2 years. If I still have the Tesla, I'll get another new one. I don't want to ever have to worry about that. So 12-volt battery. If it does die in a regular car like my Jeep, I would just get it jumped. No big deal. All good. Tesla, you're basically locked out of it. You can't access it because you literally have to take the frunk out, which is the front trunk, take that out to get to the actual battery, but you're not going to be able to access that because the power to the car is killed when that battery dies. So that's a huge con. And the last con, this is the last one. This one, I got into a little bit of a argument with somebody online about that. And the thing of it is none of the Teslas have spare tires. And one guy online is like, when's the last time you changed a spare tire? Well, with me, I had an Escalade with low profile tires, and I was popping tires a couple times a year. The Tesla, same exact type tires as my Escalade had, 22-inch rims, very low profile. I think they're 35s, the summer tires. I have winter tires on it now, but the summer tires are a 35 profile, which is very low, which to me, very easy to get a flat on those. And not having a spare anywhere makes me a little nervous. So I'm thinking about buying one on Amazon. I found them. I just want to get one, a decent size one that I could throw in the back somewhere for longer road trips and stuff like that. But to me, that's a huge negative. I want to have a spare. I don't want to be stuck out somewhere and not be able to do it myself. Tesla's app does have awesome service. I use them for any problems I've had and everything. So I'm sure I could get tow or something like that pretty quick. But again, I like to do it myself. So the fact that it doesn't have a spare tire in it, that's kind of a negative to me. That's a huge con in my opinion. So that's it. Those are the pros and cons of owning a Tesla versus a Jeep or a traditional automobile. I guess it doesn't specifically have to be a Jeep like my Jeep, but just in general, owning a Tesla full electric vehicle versus a standard traditional gasoline powered car. My opinion, the biggest takeaways from this, I would say, is if you have a house or a townhouse where you have a 220 charger built in, you could have it put in your garage, then by all means go for it. If you're driving locally, nothing too long every day, I mean within 200 miles every day, then absolutely a Tesla would be great for you. You'd save a lot of money. Towing capacity, I didn't bring that up in the pros, but it could tow as much as my Jeep can, as much as my Armada could. So yeah, it's got no problem towing a trailer. The fact you can raise and lower the Tesla to meet the trailer height is just freaking awesome. So highly recommend it. Love it. I do have a part 2 coming on the Tesla review. It's going to be after winter, depending on how crazy of a Chicago winter we get. Like I mentioned, I do have winter tires on there now, so I have not driven it in snow yet. By all the research I've done on YouTube and everything, different people that posted stuff, it's supposed to be unbelievable in snow. So we'll see how that is. I'll give you my honest opinion on that after I go through the full winter. So that'll be part 2 on my Tesla review versus Jeep. Obviously the Jeep, I'd never, ever, ever worried about snow. My biggest joke was I'd always shovel my wife's side of the driveway and leave my side of the driveway all snowy because the Jeep would just drive right over it. I never, ever worried about snow with my Jeep. So we'll see how I feel about the Tesla after winter. For right now, though, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I talked a lot this time. Thanks. Any comments on that? If you guys are Tesla owners, let me know what you think. Any tips for a new owner? Like I said, I've only owned it 5 months. It's Model X, a couple years old. Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you're a Jeep owner and you're pissed at me that I got rid of my Jeep for a Tesla, let me hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback. But right now, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'll see you later. Peace.